Hello, welcome. It's Abidi's Kitchen and I have a recipe request for Bara. Now Bara is a Guyanese snack and it's traditionally made with the ground up split peas powder, and it is seasoned with onion, garlic and pepper and a little bit of turmeric and fried into a nice fritter served with mango chutney or mango sour. Now today, I know the cupboard looks a bit busy, but I will simplify this. I am going to be making the traditional bara with the yeast and everything, but I will also be sharing tips and tricks on how you could make it at home with whatever you have in your pantry, especially during the quarantine time and the COVID season when we cannot go out a lot. Now for this recipe, you'll need all-purpose flour, ground split peas powder. Here I'm using besan. I found this at Apna Bazaar, and you can find the ground split peas powder at any West Indian store, and if you can't, then gram flour is an excellent substitute. I actually like this better than the ground split peas powder from the West Indian store. You'll also need yeast, this is optional, baking powder, a must, turmeric, ground cumin or what we call jeera, salt to taste or a vegetable cube, and over here I have adobo, garlic powder, onion powder. Now these three I will not be using because I'm using the fresh. I'm using here some blended up onion, garlic and jalapeno pepper, and I also have here some chopped shallots. Now if you don't have fresh or you don't have blended up ingredients, you can use these powdered forms. They're just as good. So let's get into the preparations. So here in a large bowl I have here my all-purpose flour, the gram flour or ground split peas powder, jeera or ground cumin. I'm using a vegetable cube instead of salt for flavor, baking powder, a touch of yeast and turmeric. Now the yeast, I don't use a lot of this in because I don't like my bara to be too oily, so I'm just using a tad bit of yeast, and this brings a good result. I also have here some lukewarm water, about a cup, and I may not need all of it. I'm going to quickly give it a mix to incorporate everything together. Smells good already. And into that I'm adding in my fresh seasonings, my blended up onion, garlic and pepper, and my shallots. Now as I said, you can use your powdered seasonings. This goes really well together, but I like fresh. And now I am going to add about a half cup of water, and I'm going to give it a mix and see if it needs anything else. I'm going to add some more. So I've ended up almost using all of the water, but you will monitor this. You don't want this to be too runny. You want to have a batter that's stretchy and gooey, but it mustn't fall. It mustn't run off when you dip it. Give this a good mix. Now what I'm going to do is clean off my hands, and I'm going to cover this for half an hour in a warm place because I've added a little bit of yeast and I want that yeast to activate. So a quick pointer I wanted to show you before I cover this and let it rest for 30 minutes is that when you're mixing the bara, you don't want to put, I didn't use the entire cup of water, just it had a little bit remaining. But to test your consistency is that you want it to be sticking. You take a spoon and you want it to be sticking at the back of the spoon and stretching as it comes up. Or you can easily dip, like if you're dipping a scoop of ice cream and you turn it over. Now you don't want that to fall off the spoon in an instant. You want it to stick to that spoon and hold on there for a bit, as you can see here. And that is the right consistency for the bara to be. This should not be as runny as pancake, or you're going to be in trouble when you're going to be ready to fry these. So I'm just going to cover this, as I said. 30 minutes is all it needs, and we'll be ready to begin frying. So my bara is resting there, and it has about 20 minutes more to go. And I wanted to show you here in this bowl I have a handful of chopped spinach leaves, and about a tablespoon of chopped or diced onions. Now this is the way I personally like to eat my bara, or what I call, sometimes I make these as spinach fritters. So what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of salt here on the fresh onion and the spinach, and I'm going to give it a toss. Now this is an optional step in your bara making, but the bara I find makes lovely spinach fritters. So this is what I'm going to do with half of the batter when we're ready to fry. Now the salt is going to help to draw out some of that water and wilt it down. So I'm going to squeeze off and dry this off in about 20 minutes, and I will add this in and you will see the end results. So here you will see that the bara recipe that we're doing today can give you two different end results. We could have bara in its traditional way, or we can also have spinach fritters. So it's been 30 minutes and my bara has been resting, and this is all the time I'm going to give it. If you are using the yeast, you can give it some more time, about 45 minutes, but this here I don't want to wait. And your hands are the best tools to be using when you're doing this, because it's going to stick to any utensils. You want to give this a quick mix again before you start the frying. It's going to be a bit tough to knead and to mix around with your hands, because as I said, it's very stretchy, and this is the consistency you need. You don't want this to be runny or you will have trouble. So here I am over at the stove, and I have on here a small frying pan with about 4 cups of vegetable oil, and this is coming up to fry the bara. I also have here a little saucer with about a tablespoon of oil, and this is going to be used to dip my hands so the bara doesn't stick when I'm ready to fry it. I also have here a sheet pan lined with some paper towel, and this is to drain off the bara when they're done frying. Now to test your oil, you can use a wooden spoon, and I'm going to insert it into the center, and as you can see, it's bubbling up there. You want to keep your oil on medium to low heat, and it should be bubbling up like this, and it is ready to be used. You don't want it to be too hot, or your baras are going to be very brown on the outside and raw on the inside. This is a process, and I'm going to try to make this as easy as possible. Here is the oil, and I'm going to dip my hand into the oil. I'm just going to try to lubricate my hands, and I'm going to dip a little bit, about a tablespoon of the batter. If it's sticking, put some more oil on there. And what you're going to do is you're going to flatten it a little bit and put it gently down into the pan. Same, I'm going to repeat, dip my hands in the oil, pick up a piece or a glop of the mixture, the bara fritter, spread it out flat, and then release it gently into the pan. For about 30 seconds, the first one will be ready to be flipped. As you can see, it's puffed up really nicely here. I'm going to flip it over. There, that's looking lovely, and it's puffing up really, really nice. And the smell in here is amazing right now with the cumin and the grind daal. Again, I have oiled my fingertips, and I'm picking up a little bit, like a scoop of dough, and you can use as much oil as you want to make this easy for you. And I'm going to just spread it out and put it gently into the oil. You flip, and this is ready to be removed from the oil. Remove and drain well. This is ready. Now usually the first one, you want to break into it and test it to see if it's boiled, but this is very hot, so I will be testing this very shortly. But I don't think that should be an issue. If you find that your bara is browning too fast on the outside and it is raw on the inside, simply turn your stove down to low to medium, but you want it to be sizzling like this. You don't want it to sit in the oil to be soggy and oily. Again, dip your fingers in the oil, take a piece of the bara batter or the glop, and it's released from your hand. Yes, you may have some of this, but that's okay. Same again, picked up about a tablespoonful here, and I am smoothing it out, flattening it out, and dropping it into the batter. And very quickly, 15 to 20 seconds or 15 to 30 seconds is all it needs for this to be done cooking. This is the first one we did, and I'm looking at it and I'm seeing some good signs. Usually when you make bara with yeast, it is very oily, but as you can see, when I lift these up from the paper towel, you can see there's minimal oil in there, and that's excellent. I do not like my bara or my spinach fritters to be oily. Again, drain these well. So this is half of the batter that I have remaining, and as you can remember, I had my spinach and onion that was hanging out here with the salt, and I've managed to squeeze out a lot of the juices or the water that it has released. And what I have here is a handful of lovely dried bhaji, or spinach as you call it. I'm going to give this a quick mix to incorporate, and this is now my tasty and delicious spinach fritter. And same, I'm going to fry these off. Again, for the spinach fritters now, or the spinach bara, same, oil your fingertips, dip about a tablespoon and stretch it out and gently drop it into the oil. I'm going to remove these, fry off all the rest, and then I'll show you the end product. And here you have it, our delicious, quick, simple bara recipe. I'm going to try to break into one of it now that it's cool. As you can see, it's nice and thick and soft, and if I squeeze there isn't a lot of oil. And this is the inside, nice, thick, meaty. And I'm going to go over here to one of the spinach fritters. Now these you can fry as dark brown as you like, or as golden brown, it doesn't matter, that's a preference. And here's the spinach fritter. This is what I love. The inside there is filled with wilted spinach and onions, and it's commonly eaten with mango chutney or mango sour, and here I have that. And this pairs well also with some tamarind chutney. Do give this recipe a try. All of the measurements and ingredients will be listed in the description box below. Give it a thumbs up, share, subscribe, and thank you for spending time with us today in Abidi's kitchen. Enjoy. Bye-bye.